It's the City Chapters Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby J. Today, I got Olivia Evans and James Pakootas with me. And they are going to be throwing a festival at the end of August. It is the Root Experience.
The Experience.
Yeah, the Root Experience.
Let's go.
And they're here to talk about it. They're here to give some information so you guys can get some more insight on the experience and kind of, get information on whether you want to check it out or not.
That's right.
So here's a little description that they wrote. The Root Experience is a 2-night festival featuring BIPOC talent from various cultures and disciplines. The festival celebrates regional filmmakers, artists, cultural bearers, musicians, and stories they weave through their art. The goal is to uplift their native narratives of culture, family, beauty, and resilience to create a network that empowers living stories and heals elements of the past. When talking about indigenous cultures, we must recognize the borders, state and continental, that have been placed by the act of colonization. In doing so, people of the same similar cultures have had their homelands divided and people they love placed on opposite sides of these borders. The Root Experience is hoping to help erase these borders by decolonizing art and social practice, providing safe and inclusive spaces to present while connecting, partnering, and sparking conversation with our communities in the Pacific Northwest, defined as Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Alaska, Alberta, Canada, and British Columbia, Canada. Immerse yourself in a multicultural experience like you have never seen before. The Root Experience presents a tapestry of powerful artistic energies unveiled in a way that keeps our audience safe, engaged, and intimately connected through art without sacrificing their enjoyment. Yeah, so the producers, we have Olivia Evans. There's a little bit about Olivia.
Please.
And this is going to be one of my longest intros because we got a lot to cover and how much these people have done in their life. So Olivia Evans is a grant-awarded multidisciplinary visual artist and producer based in Spokane, Washington, working in video, photography, drawing, film, and beadwork. Her work is heavily influenced by motherhood, nature, and the subconscious, and personal experiences, intertwining traditional and digital media to create narratives of the self. All these influences echo her eclectic cultural background of growing up as a Black, Italian, and Native woman. She boasts a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in studio art and a minor in film from Eastern Washington University and graduated with the Dean's Excellence Award. As a producer and social media manager for the Alliance for Media Arts Plus Culture, an arts nonprofit, she continues to elevate marginalized communities in film and art through the social media posts, workshop, and documentary film events. As a marketing and communications coordinator for Spokane Regional Domestic Violence Coalition, on a community regional level, she aids to empower victims of domestic violence through visibility on social media, marketing materials, and as an advocate at events such as community partnered events, MMIW campaign, PCN, and Purple for a Purpose. Her work has been featured in several exhibitions. This is so long. Whew. Here we go. We're still going though. We ain't stopping. For instance,
right.
Spokane Arts Saturate Terrain 12 and 13, International All Media Expedition 22, Land Acknowledgement Exhibition 22, and as a co-curator at the GU Urban Arts Center for Home Imagining the Irrevocable. She has also been featured on KXLY. Today, she continues to expand her practice in many facets, such as creating her business, Mama Wolf Media, LLC, grant reviewing, writing, panels, adjunct teaching, and film festivals panels.
That's right. No games.
Oh, my goodness. We're not done, though. We got James Pakootas. We got James Pakootas. This is my brother. He's been on the podcast before. He was at one of the early chapters. Chapter 4, actually. I know that because it was a special number to him.
And the chapters keep coming.
Yep.
Success, big guy. I love it.
Yep. Here we go. James Pakootas. Once again, if you didn't listen to that other podcast, he is an award-winning artist, producer, and filmmaker from the Colville Confederated Tribes who cultivates change through the power of words. As an emerging community leader, he brings a fresh lens to his work as consulting producer at the Alliance for Media's Arts Plus Culture. In 2019, James co-produced an unparalleled event at the Garland Theater showcasing indigenous excellence by combining a screening of the film Rumble, The Indians Who Rocked the World, with an evening of live musical performance by contemporary indigenous artists and an opening giving in the Spokane language. James and his team successfully held space to empower and celebrate a living culture. James draws on the culture and ways of his peoples as he navigates what it means to be a native storyteller in the digital world. That's my brother James Pakootas.
Sheesh. Thanks, buddy.
And we got two more. We got Devontae T.S. Pearson. Devontae T.S., as he is most commonly
T.S.
known,
The Solution.
was on the podcast previous to. You should definitely check out his episode chapter as well. TS is an African-American audio engineer, producer, songwriter, and performing artist based out of Spokane, Washington. Mr. Pearson graduated Spokane Falls Community College with degrees in audio engineering and business management. He has booked, produced, and completed a handful of tours around the Pacific Northwest and has been so since 2013. As an artist, he has performed for festivals such as the Tinabulation Festival, Volume Music Fest, the Upstream Music Festival. He has also been invited to perform for colleges including Gonzaga University, Eastern Washington University, and the University of Washington. Devontae's portfolio also includes opportunities in the film world that include sound designing for a short animation, location recording for independent and feature-length films, and mixing audio for commercials and documentaries. His experience in entertainment production includes a unique perspective obtained from working multiple roles from the conception to final breakdown. If you need to be in a studio with music or any of the sound engineering, my homie TS is the man.
He's
Panoramic Dreams Recording
Triple
Studio is where you need to be.
Threat.
Yeah,
Completely.
he's a
Top notch artist, top notch engineer, top notch like entrepreneur, like dudes like everywhere.
yeah, he's the man.
And if you want to
And
be jazzes.
We have my brother Jazz Boyd.
Jazz. We got like an all-star squad. I think everybody's got chapters around here.
Yeah, long chapters. Jazz Boyd is a good friend of mine. We've done some collaborations in the past. He's also been on the podcast. He was chapter 1 for City Chapters podcast. That's my brother.
Chapter 1.
I just heard though, right before this this interview, that my boy Jazz got hit by a drunk driver this weekend in the Bay Area. So I want to send out blessings and prayers to him so he heals up quick and we can get back to work.
He is recovering, so
yeah, it sounds like he's gonna be all right, but
prayers up.
definitely
Prayers up, tobacco down, y'all.
gonna have to handle some stuff for a while with healing up. So here is Jazz's intro. A multidisciplinary artist as well, like all these cats are. Humbled by each opportunity to express himself creatively. His work spans thought-provoking installations that leave each audience captivated, dynamic set designs that immerse his gifts in creativity, and innovative event curation that evoke lasting impacts with every community he serves. Originally from Northern California and now based between Sacramento, California and Spokane, Washington, he remains deeply committed to community service. Jazz is a visionary. He is a cutting-edge fashion designer and powerful creative director. He gratefully collaborates with nonprofits, supports various events across the nation, and curates programming for emerging creators and at-risk youth. As a fashion designer, he humbly explores new realms, crafting unique pieces that resonate with those seeking artistic expression. Above all, Jazz finds profound inspiration in his role as a loving husband and father. Whether spending time with his family or aspiring his next mission in life, Jazz Boyd continues to push artistic boundaries and seeks to inspire others through his creative endeavors. And his company's Birds in the Coast.
Birds in the Coast.
All right. That's
Prayers
my
up
intro.
for the bro. Prayers up for the bro.
Yeah, that was something. But I mean, I think it was important to let you guys know how experience these people are, how much they have put blood, sweat, and tears into, trying to make change in the world, and, really to give you some depth on why you should support this festival and at least come check it out for a little bit.
Right.
All right, so we're gonna get into just talking now.
Hey, let's talk. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Yeah. All right.
Let's talk. No, it was a beautiful introduction to the team. I love that you're able to kind of break down our different mindsets and our different visions and what we've all accomplished, like on our own, in our solo work and our collaborative work, because all of us have, like, in one form or another, have worked with each other, but not like all of us working together on like some cohesive mission, right? Mm-hmm. And we feel like with all this disruption of COVID, all this disruption of AI and what's to come in the digital world, like we feel like collaboration is community building is always going to be very powerful. Like we're seeing all the national funding and whatnot struggle when there's a whole hyper local kind of movement happening, because we realized we can get it from right where we're at. We can work right from home. There's a new way that we can operate in the world and create sustainability for our family. So for us, it's like, let's double down on where we're at and invest in the people that we love and want to see lifted up. So it's kind of beautiful to be able to work with everybody, you included, bro. Like, you're involved in the vision too. Like, we came and talked to you about this early on and want to build this with the people that, that we see day to day in the streets and that we see day to day in the communities and showing up at all these different events. Like, there's no reason why we can't collaborate with each other and uplift visions that, like, spread across many different disciplines, many different creative elements in our city. I think it's time. Our city's ready for it, and definitely us as producers are, We've been waiting for this moment for a long time. We've been building towards it.
Yeah.
So, beautiful moment.
Wow. Well said. I don't know if I could top that.
I'm just flying from the hip, It's a beautiful vision come together.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk about it.
You both have been involved in doing shows and stuff before. How did you guys come up to the development of the name, The Root Experience? And how did you, why the Root Experience? What was the inspiration? I mean,
it's had a lot of different lives, hasn't it?
It really has. It actually started as the Story Weavers.
Yeah, Story Weavers,
Which made us think kind of like an old school, elders come out and do a workshop situation.
Real tradish.
Yeah.
Yeah. But coming from a multicultural standpoint, it only made sense to focus on roots, because within, many cultures, that's where heritage is based off of, the ancestral ways and traditions, and adding experience is just overall exciting, the stimulation that's about to happen, and all these different creatives that are coming out to participate and really be on this equal platform, because that's what this is. It's an equal platform for all cultures and creatives in our community in Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's a great
Yeah,
answer.
it's like in all of our conversations as well, it's been like, it's come up when all of them, like, whatever we're going to do, like, how do we create something immersive? Like, how do we do these? We want to create like something bigger than a show. We want to do bigger than like, how do we create an experience where people are moved with all their senses, right? So based on all those conversations, it comes in line when we're all sitting in a group together, like, okay, now we've got some sort of project or a focus or a vision. The naming came after, really we were dreaming at first. It was, Margot Hill just giving us an idea to do like a native filmmaker night around a film that we were creating. And Tony Louie and I were like, yo, we're the new guys on the block. Like, this is our first little like 5-minute short. If we're going to do something, like, let's uplift people that have been in the game for a minute and are doing it, and that are like our seasoned filmmakers. Like, allow us, if we're going to create some sort of platform, we're still students and learning at the same time. So if we're going to create a platform, we want to create some sort of community where we too can learn and be a part of it. Because like, we're brand new. Like, I've done some work, but very minimal. You know, all my work's in audio and recording and performing and whatnot. So producing events, but not so much film. So from the film aspect, it was like trying to uplift the community and the ecosystem as a whole
Yeah.
to strengthen our role in it. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So there's gonna be multiple different performances, film screening, ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
Take us through like some of the people that are gonna be here.
Okay. Yeah, for the opening ceremony, we want to start at the Plaza of Truths, right across from the Spokane Library.
Okay.
So if everybody doesn't know, the Root Experience is August 26th and 27th at the end of this month.
Yeah.
And the first night is at the Spokane Public Library. The second night is at Magic Lantern. But with us, we're very intentional with the way that we build everything, right? Like all of our collaborations since we met have been like very intentional into strengthening the communities we're in and giving voice to those greats and those masters that paved the way for us, like to tell our stories. So we felt like if we're going to do something that's rooted, play on words, that's rooted in culture, then we first have to ask permission from the Spokane tribe. And this is their ancestral homelands that they were forcibly removed from. This is the river that they call home. So right across from the street from that Spokane Library is an installation, an art installation that Jeff Ferguson of the Spokane tribe and Smoker Marchand did of the Colville Confederated tribes that were the story of the Salmon Chief and our history of how all of our tribes used to gather in this place. So there's a deep, deep, deep sense of culture here in Spokane that was rooted before colonization, that was rooted before the railroad systems, that was rooted before boarding schools and all of these other things. Like,
Right.
so let's give honor to that, and let's do an honoring for Smoker. Let's do an honoring for Jeff. Let's have the Spokane Business Council come do a land acknowledgement. Let's ask their elders or their prayer or their medicine people to come open in the language. We've got Isaac Tenasket, a young artist on the rise, who's also going to be in the festival, but he's also going to sing a solo hand drum honor song. And then we've got Silent Hill, the same native drum group that we used and collaborated with up at the Garland back in 2019 when we did Rumble. And they helped open that ceremony as well. So we wanted to be really intentional with how we started this whole festival in like, let's give honor, let's give voice, let's give place to the first peoples that came from this land. And then let's all celebrate their existence and our shared existence in this place afterwards. So that's kind of like the opening, and then we'll weave everybody up to the third floor, and we'll start with some performances and go into some films and start like really the interactive, immersive kind of experience into what everybody can expect. And you got like some of the list of the performers or who we're gonna expect to see, Olivia?
Yeah, so our official selection ended up being this really cool group of multicultural lenses and just different backgrounds in general. And so starting off, Alethea Dumas. Her soulful sounds are always a sight to see.
That's right.
AJ the Wordsmith.
What?
Enough
Fire.
said.
Enough said. Fire. Come with that
Azaria.
heat.
Carly Ann Bruner Forthun, Olivia Babinski, Echo Elysium, Coaster, Cuero Flamenco, Shadow Rain, Isaac Tenasket, Tyler Alai, and True Hoods.
True Hoods.
Oh, True Hoods.
Yeah.
I know who they are, and I know Tyler Alai.
Tyler Lyon.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, so just in this group, there's so many cultures represented, and that's really what our intention is with this festival, is to make sure that everyone feels represented, especially being in Spokane where there's so many vibrant personalities and cultures within. Although they're not always all seen on a daily level, we know that they're here, and we appreciate them.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, they're here for sure, and that needs to be acknowledged, you know.
Big time. You know, I feel like culture is art and culture are two of maybe the main proponents that kind of build this creative economy that is now in America. The creative economy is, I don't know how much of the actual economy, but it's like risen by like 84%, and the money that's coming into Washington alone in the creative economy is immense. Like Spokane Arts and getting all the big grants that they're getting, you know, with the ARPA funding and all this stuff is coming from the arts and culture sector, right? So it's and when we think of art and culture in Spokane, some of our cultures aren't being represented, or they're not being heard as much, you know. So we want to create a platform that uplifts that shared voice that we're all trying to aspire to, and be seen and heard in our own communities. That's really what this is about, because we can take our tour, we can take our shows, we can take our stories out on the road, but we're building from this place. We're trying to build family and build community in this place. All the artists that are performing, most of the artists that are performing are like from right around either Spokane or this region. So it's like we're trying to reinvest the money that we're getting from these grants and spill that out into our own community as well. So we're trying to do this vertical integration and this ecosystem building really is what this whole Root experience is about. It's bigger than a festival. We're trying to build an art and culture ecosystem within our region that sustains us, you know, because right now it's not sustainable the way that it's going, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So lots to think about.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly difficult anywhere, but in Spokane, to make it as a creative, it's a hard business. Anywhere you're at, it's a hard business.
Yeah.
But Spokane for sure is it's incredibly hard, you know. And getting people to come out and support has been notoriously hard too here. You know, it took Terrain all these years to finally establish a dominance that they have, and they've luckily been able to just stick with it for how long they've had to. But like you said, you guys are trying to focus on cultures that are not being maybe as represented in town, which is, you know, it's beautiful. And I'm just happy to have you guys on. Of course, when we first initially met, one thing I knew that I have right now is this platform for the podcast to help you guys get the word out in, you know, another way. So I had a question about, Olivia, how did you meet James?
Oh, that was a good moment.
It really was.
It was a while back. I'd say 2018.
18?
Yeah, that's what. Okay,
October.
I'm remembering that right. We went to the Indigenous Peoples March, and we were both kind of standing on our own onto the side, and I guess I just approached him and introduced myself, and we ended up hitting it off and meeting up later on, and I introduced him to Wendy Levy.
Gangster, true gangster in the city. If you don't know Wendy Levy, like, listen up. Go ahead, tell him about Wendy.
Oh yeah, she's the executive director for the Alliance for Media Arts and Culture, an arts nonprofit based here in Spokane. She used to be based down in California, but made Spokane her home. Her wife is from here, so that's kind of where that sparked. But she really dives into the creative sector nationally and internationally, focusing in documentary film, and really like just trying to uplift all underrepresented, you know, cultural performances, and, you know, the abilities that are out there that are just so unique. And especially with youth media, she focuses on that quite a bit. She's also made the first national, I want to say the first national apprenticeship program, which is called Arts to Work apprenticeship program. So she's the first and only one nationally that has that. And it's just been spreading beautifully, and we're trying to bring it over here to Spokane. And so more good things to come.
Completely. Yeah, we're really trying to rope that in as far as like an expansion of this festival and this movement is like media support and infrastructure and training, to beef up our creatives and their resources and their accreditation. You know, when it comes to their particular career, we got so many people that are going to college and they're coming out with degrees and can't get a foothold in the industry. So now they've got this degree, but they're doing side work that doesn't even really apply to their major or to their medium or to their passion, you know, and they're having to create from that space of lack, you know, in that moment, even if they're not doing a career that's even ingrained in their medium of choice. Like that's they're creating from a place of deficit already, just because of the energy level. So really, it's like we want to create opportunities for creatives to get creative. I think Wendy's a big, like she's a visionary in that essence of building that capacity for accreditation in areas. She's done it in Atlanta. She's done it in New York. She's trying to do it here in Spokane. We had originally done the interview right after Rumble. What was that, 2019?
Yeah.
You know, actually over at Terrain. With what was it? Like Visit Spokane, or so it was an organization really trying to uplift Spokane creatives coming to Spokane and really trying to hinge that Arts to Work program and get that lifted up. So I feel like that will naturally be an extension of what we're trying to build here with the festival.
What are some of the biggest problems you see creatives facing in Spokane, and more specifically BIPOC people? What are some of the challenges that you are facing, and you know, what are you trying to overcome with this roots experience? This is a deep one.
Yeah,
It is.
But we got to get into it. Yeah.
So what I recognized when I graduated from Eastern back in 2018, coming straight into trying to exhibit at galleries and be a part of certain opportunities in exhibiting, your name has to be out there, and you're almost not fully trusted at first.
Yeah.
Like you really have to make sure that you're showing up.
Some gatekeeping going on almost.
It's expected. But also a lot of spaces around here, which I feel a lot of progressive, I guess, differences are happening now compared to in 2018. But a lot of spaces were just offering up to people that they knew or that were in their network, not really having that full call for submissions. And if there was, it was like the same lineup of people, which was unfortunate for people who are emerging, trying to, you know, get their name out there and add on to their resume in a sense.
And so the playing field didn't feel open, you know. Okay. What about you, James?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I see things from a little different of a lens. There's been a couple organizations that I've been fellowshipped with that have allowed me the ability to travel nationally and kind of dip into different markets and see what's in place there. And I feel like on a lot of different levels, our city is lacking in infrastructure. If we talk about, you know, if you're talking about performing arts, there's so many different mediums, right? And all of them need support and infrastructure around the building of shows and the building of brands and the building of movements. If we go music, you got how many venues in Spokane for someone to really showcase, you know, their music at a high level.
Yeah, not many.
Like you got the Knit, you got Lucky You, that really have like this. They want a higher standard when you come and play at their venues.
Yeah,
and really that's what I would love our arts to aspire to where everybody's got those really nice bios, their headshots, their EPK set, they got their one sheet set, everything's nice, they know how to handle business, they know the whole W-9 process and how to operate as a business and operate your art as, I mean, there's a huge argument in the arts world of like art is, if you think of it as a product, it may take away from your passion or your creativity. But where I'm coming from, like I am an artist now that has been creating for a long time. And how I started in the arts business, my needs and wants have completely changed because of my experience in the game. So now I need some venues that are going to pay actual like nice performance fees when it comes to my work. Like when I go on a stage, I expect a certain dollar amount, and there's not enough in this city to support that at this point. So I travel nationally to be booked. So there's that, and we think of professional development. You've got Riker, you've got Spokane Arts, you've got TS, you've got us and New Age Warriors. First People's Fund is coming in with their Native Artist professional development trainings. You've got other people trying to do some development and whatnot. But I see, more opportunity for professional development for our artists to take themselves more seriously as business owners.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. I think it has to go hand in hand, unfortunately, nowadays, to be in competition, and it really is competition. I didn't used to look at things like that, but like you're competing with yourself first and foremost, but then you're competing with everybody else that wants attention. And there's a lot of people in this world that want attention. And if you think you're going to stand out and you are going to find success in this business, I've tried to get around it. Ultimately, I have not found a way. And you have to take the business side very serious. You have to know business, like what you get to do in the creative realm. That's when you get to have fun. That's where you have fun. That's when you're painting or you're designing or you're singing, you're recording, you're doing those things. That's the moment of the pinnacle of why you do what you do. But that's only one dynamic of being a creative, being an artist, and making money doing it requires having business acumen. And so you just gotta really lock down. If you want to be treated as a professional, you need to have business understanding, or you need to have a manager who really knows it and that you can trust. Otherwise, but most of us in Spokane, like, you're not going to be able to afford a high-end manager yet. Like it's a small market, and it's hard to just be supported here just within Spokane. Like the insulation here of just like being supported just by Spokane, it's definitely, people out there do it, but I'm just saying it's difficult in the creative world. It feels like it's always a struggle to get people to really invest. But as much as I see that, I've always seen too, like no one's reached the undeniability level either. Like you as an artist have to get yourself to a place where I am undeniable. My work is undeniable, and I will be paid this much because that is what I'm worth, and my market and my sales say so.
Reflect that.
So like it's important to not take that entitlement route, which I'm not saying I'm just saying in general. Like I see a lot of artists that I talk to, you catch them like saying like, oh yeah, nobody shows up to the shows, man. Like people don't support out here. You're not doing something right then. That's all that is. That doesn't mean give up, and it doesn't mean get mad at the people. It's your job to get the people. The market you just so like that's one I struggle with. It's sometimes it's like it's easy to be like, oh, I did the work, like nobody wants to support. Well, ultimately you just got to be real with yourself and come down to the fact that people buy what they like, they support what they like.
That's right.
And
that's right.
You got to figure out that recipe, and keep twisting the recipe until it works.
Exactly. That's why we're trying to start with this, like, here's the vision we want to see for our city. Now let's see if we're going to let this baby go, and let's see if the city takes hold. Really, it's, because that's what we've talked about the most is us, like, this is what we want to see for our city. So for us, like, collecting and doing this type of movement, it is a little bit selfish in nature, us going, you know what, we want to see our faces and our spirits and our cultures reflected in the city that we live.
I
We don't
think
see it
it's-
very much.
I don't
so-
think it's selfish at all from my perspective. But, you know, it's always dealing with that and like whatever imposter syndrome or whatever. Like, who am I to demand that people pay attention to these things that we're struggling with? And like, you know, of course, people out there and in this sad world, it's amazing, but it's sad too. You know, people are going to be like, oh, whatever. They're going to be talking like, you know, haters. A lot of haters in the world. You know what I'm saying? That's why we'll just leave it at that, right? Just call them haters. And I am putting you guys on this podcast because I want to do what I can do to help. You know what I mean? I think this is right now one of the biggest ways I can help. I can't really help financially, but I can help spread the word a little bit, you know, and I mean, be involved, you know, each year as you guys continue to do this, to be more invested each year as we continue on. I only asked that question because you know, there's a lot of challenges in being a creative and getting paid to do so, and, you know, within Spokane. So, like, you guys got grants for this festival, right?
Right.
And so I'm assuming like all the artists, they're all getting a little piece of the pie, right? So you guys are creating this foundation where like, hey, come perform, you're going to get paid. It's not like a lot of times like, hey, you can get on this show, but you ain't getting paid. Like, you know what I mean? It's the opportunity of being hopefully in front of some people that has been kind of the acceptable norm in Spokane for local artists, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's really cool what you guys are trying to do here.
We wanted to make sure to make it like barrier-free access. So anybody that submitted, you wouldn't have to pay a submission fee. Because in the film festivals and all those festivals, like we see a lot of times, like I'm a filmmaker, like I've done it for I'm a baby filmmaker. A couple years now, I've made a couple films now, but I've submitted them all over the place, you know, and it's 35 a pop, 10 a pop, 65 a pop, 100 a pop for the really nice ones. Like, we're getting up there. So just in that his story film with me and Tony, I probably invested $1,200 or $1,300 just in submission fees alone. And then getting those official selection laurels, like a lot of times we've only gotten paid for maybe 2 of those, right? The rest of them are like, hey, here's your swag. You get to promote on your sites that you were an official selection, but really all you get is some laurels and this little graphic that goes on your poster, right? So we wanted to like really like change that process. Not only do we want to make it free to get in, but you get paid if you get selected. You know, like we want to honor you in a better way than exposure, because people die from exposure every single day.
Yes. And really adding on sustainability and making sure all the creatives out here, especially BIPOC peoples, that are not really offered that, right? It's always visibility or, hey, I'll get your name out there, but not necessarily, oh, I'll help you pay your rent, or let's actually pay towards what you're creating, so then you're able to have that visibility and get out there and be a part of events. So like paying the creatives involved, that's mandatory as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, it makes the whole experience better because, I mean, those people feel like they're valued, you know, and their performance is going to be that much better because of that. You know, it gives them, too, a glimpse of, you know, I'm not saying none of these artists have never been paid before. I don't know that. But for the ones maybe that haven't, or, you know, really maybe this is their first opportunity, like, it, you know, that's when it's like, okay, you can see maybe the dream, you know, like, all right, I'm getting paid. That's big.
Yeah.
That's huge. Like when you've been doing something for years, practicing, struggling, and then you finally get a paid event, like that's awesome. That's a big moment.
I'm an artist now.
Yeah. Yeah. So
lots of affirmation there.
Completely.
for people that maybe do not know, what does BIPOC stand for?
Black, Indigenous, and people of color.
Yeah.
Like I just went up to Canada, like 3-4 weeks ago, and I was learning up there that they center Indigenous first. So they do IPOC, but both of it is all around trying, and it's all just terminology, trying to find something that envelops something that's not what is that word that doesn't block people out? What is that word? Is that a brain fart?
I don't know. The other term that's normally used is people of color.
Yeah,
I feel like,
POC.
yeah, which is another, good use of term, but being intentional of calling out, especially, with Black Lives Matter movement and all these different movements happening, being more specific.
Being more
helps.
specific to the ethnicities that have struggled in America from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah,
More specifically.
Like not so much just struggled, but have been undergoing trauma from national and government and systematic
struggle
racism and
cover it, right?
Yeah. It's very. We want to be very, very intentional with that verbiage of why we're selecting BIPOC.
Right.
Is to address and raise awareness around the systematic oppression that is happening in America, and being very intentional to lift up a platform for those that have intergenerational traumas dealing with this government and these systems in place that are still oppressive in nature for our peoples.
Yeah.
Right.
So get serious on them real quick.
No, that's why we're here. To talk about these hard things, because you currently live on the res, right?
Yeah.
And from what you've told me, I mean, it's hard. It's not. There's still a lot going on, and people think it's been kind of swept under the rug. It's not our problem no more. That was such a long time ago. But these people are still being oppressed and held down and traumatized and cornered and not respected. So, I think, and like James knows about me, and I probably mentioned on the first podcast, I've always had love for Native culture. I still don't know much about it, but I love it. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like what I've seen now, this is just a white boy, I mean it in the most respectful way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't
Totally.
wait till I get invited to go do a sweat, like when I can just have that experience, because I mean, from what I've read, and I've read quite a few books on the history, it's really dark what happened. Like, and if you have not read history on what happened to the natives people here, it's unbelievable, like what we did. I say it as if I was a part of it, but I am a white man, so and like I said before, like I was thinking about it the other day with myself, like I don't really see color, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean, because I don't see it, that there's things happening that are sometimes probably even out of my awareness, because I don't have to deal with it like you guys have to deal with it. I don't have the same like life mission as you guys do, but I love you. I just met Olivia recently, but she's just like the sweetest person. And I'm just happy to have you both on to kind of like help you get the word out about your mission. You know what I mean? And indirectly, I'm supporting you guys that way.
Right.
Or directly, whatever. But
Completely.
I just want you guys to know you have an ally with me. This white boy is an ally. You know what I mean? So
We appreciate it.
And I was just talking with Tony the other day too, and he made an interesting point. And he was saying, he was saying, James, like we're stepping into this like age group with all of our masters and all of our people that we looked up to that mentored us are passing. A lot of them. A lot of the artist mentors I look up to are passing. And he's saying, like, James, like our people always try to gather allies. And he goes, really? Like what we're trying to gather now are like relatives. Like people need to feel like they have an ownership and a stake in this struggle and in reversing the wrongs before they're really going to get behind something, right? And we're seeing that. The reason why I'm saying this, a lot of people be like, oh no, hell no, like we're not going to do that. But me being going up to Canada, you know, I come from the Colville Confederated Tribes, and one of our tribes, Sinaiks Nation, the Arrow Lakes Band, originally our ancestral lands are in Canada. But back in long time ago, they got pushed by the government south of the border, and our tribes welcomed them in, said, no, you can have land here, you know, and at the bottom of your territory is where Inchalim is now. So this is, you know, these are your lands anyway, so come reside on this reservation. But the government marked them extinct, our people extinct, and pushed us south. So now we had no rights to any of our ancestral land in Canada. We had no connection back to the community for generations, multiple generations. So now there are kids that are born now that have never seen Canada. And that is their land. That is their home. That is their story. Our creation stories go back to that river and go back to that place. So me going up there these like 4 weeks ago, and being like faced with all of this community that we're trying to integrate in, where we come into that community and we don't see anyone like us. So it's like, how do we create community in our ancestral place when our people are just now returning from exile, right? So it's like, we got to think of this as more than allyship. We got to think of each other as relatives, because what's been done to us is unimaginable, very traumatic. And what it's going to take to reverse that history is going to be very, I don't want to say extreme because we're not extremists, but there's going to be some major things happen to shake up a system. Right? These are systems, oppressive systems that have been in place for hundreds and hundreds of years. So how do we do that? We do it together. And first, we got to do it by building each other's voices up and supporting each other, thinking of each other as relatives from now on, of the ones that want to come and get involved and put their resources, put their money, put their efforts, put their sweat equity where it's at, just like us. We're not trying to hold you accountable for the past, dog.
I know that.
But we understand that there are certain people that benefit from the oppression in place, right? And when people become aware of that and do their part to reverse that, that's when you're doing more than allyship. You're trying to be a good relative at that point, right? You're trying to honor that next human that's right next to you, despite the skin color, right? You're trying to reverse history. And that's really, to reverse history is just to see each other as human, dog, really. Because that's where the oppression comes from, is trying to devalue and debase someone's humanity. So if you bring us all up to that level of humanity, and now we're starting to take care of each other, whether it's litigation, whether it's law, whether it's arts, culture, resources, financing, business acumen, bring us up to that regular human level. Now we're really getting some work done here. Now we're really like building a world that maybe I can be proud that my grandchildren will be a part of. But there's still people actively cutting division. And that's why with the border work, that whole Canada thing was, there's all of this like media blitz about the southern border, and the northern border gets really brushed under the rug. But there are peoples from all sorts of different cultures, Asian, Black, Native, it doesn't matter, that have been split by both of those borders. And so now really, how do we, with our festival, with our movement, be intentional in that same thing of erasing oppression, or trying to do our part in erasing oppression and erasing colonial borders? So that's why we wanted to go the Northwest. It's going to be our area of the Northwest of the States. Let's also include Canada and Alaska, so that we start erasing that Canadian border and start reintegrating with our communities and our relatives that we've had for generations and have forgotten each other's names. We've forgotten each other's faces. And we're just trying to reconnect.
You're going to make me cry. Oh my gosh. You got me hooked.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, man. You're so
this is why we're building it.
Yes.
This is why we're
and
building it.
you know, as I was saying I'm a white boy ally. You know that I'm
Oh
you
my
know that
God.
I'm teasing because
Oh, yeah.
I'm your brother. You know what I mean? We've
Completely.
been brothers for a
Bro.
long time.
Yeah.
And you know, anything I can do to help you, bro, I will.
That's
You know,
right.
without
That's why I
question.
see you more than an ally.
Yeah.
And you're my relative. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I call you brother every time I see you.
Yeah.
Because you do what you can to offer space, to offer time, to offer resources, to learn, to grow with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like as I'm educating you in some of these serious issues, you go home and do homework on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's deeper than allyship. You're doing part and fighting for me when I'm not in the room,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's where it's really at.
Yeah. Yeah. I have so much to learn though still. And that's why I just sit back and just, you know, listen, man, because
I live smack dab in the middle of the reservation, and I got a lot of learning to do yet too.
yeah.
You know, right with my own people.
Yeah. Well, we're
Lots.
people of growth, so
That's
we
right.
know it'll never end. But
I think the three of us here definitely has got that mindset, huh?
Ever evolving. Yes.
Right?
But you know, me, what I'm saying as far as my education is just like I really don't know barely anything in regards to, you know, the serious oppression that you guys face on the res and all those kinds of things. I'm just learning because of you, really. I mean, I've had some Native people friends before, but not like our relationship. And so I've learned a lot through you, and even just how I won't say Native American anymore. I say Native peoples, like different things that you've taught me that I've come to understand further.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, brother, for, you know, being willing to teach this white boy.
That's right. That's right. I got lessons. I mean, I'm a mixed blood person. You know, I got European peoples that I come through as well. I want to lift up all of myself. You know, I'm tired of being at war with myself. That was the hardest part, was to address like those active, like reversing an extinction, bro. That's active genocide of our people. Like, how do you face that, you know? And how do you face that not being angry? How do you face it not being hurt or passive aggressive? You know, how do you face these things and still try to heal? So that's like even me in my own fight, just wanting to learn, wanting to get better in my own heart, so that when it comes to movements like these, I don't get swept away in that anger, and I keep healing. Like we're being very intentional with the way that we're wording things, with the way that we're aligning performers and filmmakers, and the messaging of this experience is to center healing, because really that's what our world needs right now. Like, big time.
Yeah.
Need love. Do you have any thoughts to add, Olivia?
I'm sure you got lots of stuff since.
Which arena?
Wherever you feel
Man, knock 'em
inclined.
down. Let's go.
Yeah, wherever you feel inclined.
I'm just excited for this festival overall, because I've never been to something quite like this, even though it hasn't happened yet. I'm excited of just the positive energies that are, you know, going to be a part of it. Seeing people excited, especially the creatives involved, makes me excited and know that I'm on the right path. And coming from that same standpoint, like, I grew up primarily with my Italian side of the family. My dad was he was exiled from my family. And basically me and my sister were taken away from him from Kirkland, Washington, and brought over to Wenatchee to live with my mom's part of the family. And so, like, with my cultural... I guess being a mutt in itself is kind of how I talk about myself in that way.
I'm a mutt, yeah.
Mutt too.
All sorts of different things.
I feel like I lack that parts of that, like, ancestral connection, because my dad, I didn't see him very often.
Your
growing
dad
up.
was Native?
Yeah, he's Native and Black.
Okay.
And he's from South Carolina. He lives up in Spokane. My parents got remarried in 2007, but they divorced when I was 2. And so, like, my mom's side of the family never talked about him. He was like that person who should not be named. So I grew up feeling very isolated in Wenatchee, and no one quite knew what my culture was, alongside me. Like, it's either white over there or it's Hispanic, and I was usually lumped into being Hispanic, but then, asked me to speak Spanish, and I can't.
Yeah.
So it was a weird connection, and I always felt like, I don't know, just kind of in a weird spot. Like, I never really fit in. And then I came to Spokane, and it was a little similar to that at first, because I was, new. I didn't know anyone here until I got into the art community and really dove into like who is actually out here and what cultures exist here. And I think that really uplifted me, especially in the arts, because I feel like I can be represented here. Whereas in Wenatchee, they don't really have a platform for that. It's, who's been making artwork will continue to be visible over there. But if you're new, emerging, there's not really a platform for you. So there's that question that I've been asked, at least more recently, why don't I go back to Wenatchee to make that happen? Well, I made Spokane my home. I adopted it as my home. My kids are born here, raised here, and as far as I'm concerned, most of my immediate family is here. My parents, my sister, my nephew. So being able to do it or do this type of an event in a space that gains more appreciation, it's just beautiful to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I'll go back eventually, but
Yeah, and you got to master one area first.
yeah,
Right? You can't diversify in the beginning when you guys are just now building something here. Which so I think it's smart to focus on Spokane. And I'm sure there's more support in Spokane than there is Wenatchee for sure.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
more people here, and as our city grows, there are more people from other cities moving here that do want to find and support these types of things. People are looking for cool things to do and be a part of and support. Let's see. Do we want to name some partners, and then we'll hop back into some more things?
Definitely.
Or
We've definitely got some exciting partners. One of the first partners that really got us going in all of this was Wendy and the Alliance. We'll always throw our hats off to Margot for kind of just planting that seed of what they wanted to see in the city. Like, hey, you guys should do this, like, filmmaker night. And it's grown into the Root Experience. That was the seed that grew roots, right? And Wendy was the one that was like, yeah, I could support that. So early on, this was like, what, 2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
The seed started to be planted with this, and we started building it, and all of us have been through a lot in the last couple of years, in the starting while in COVID and coming out of COVID and moving and like doing all sorts of stuff, losing an arm, we've been through the ringer. So, hats off to Wendy for supporting us through the whole thing. And as we've checked in with her, has recently come in as a sponsoring partner as well. And then Olivia wrote for the Spokane Arts Grant, the Saga Grant. And how did that process go with them gaining a partnership?
Spokane Arts, I mean, they're continuously doing amazing things for creatives around here. Winning the grant was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Getting that call and being like,
Fire.
hey, let's send $8,000 your way. Is that enough? I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead with that. They have a great team, and I truly feel like they support, the art community here and want to sustain the people who are in it. And so winning that was a game changer for us because it, first of all, we were able to get paid for all that time that, energy we put into this at the beginning, but we also were able to put on a fundraiser to really get more visibility on this festival overall. And then also be able to pay the creatives involved is amazing.
It's huge. It's huge. And then NNDF coming in, Northwest Native Development Fund. They're a native CDFI in Cooley Dam. And if y'all don't know about CDFIs, like, I would suggest looking into them. I think we have 28 in Washington alone. But they're community development financial institutions. So they're going to do business loans and community development loans at a much like lower level than a regular banking or financing institution. And they're going to have a little bit more leeway as well. They've been working with First Peoples Fund and myself. Like, they've supported my role as an artist ever since I started to identify as an artist. They were the ones that brought everybody together and all of these master artists into the room when I expressed to all those masters that I was feeling that imposter syndrome and saying, I don't know if what you guys would even consider what I do art. I'm a rapper. And to hear the Smoker Marchand, to hear Yvonne Swan, to hear Bernadine Phillips sit there and say, you're an artist, you deserve to be in this room, keep doing what you do. We see you as an artist. My whole life changed from that moment. And NNDF was like at the very root of all of that. And they've recently, over the last 6 to 9 months, have been coming out here and doing professional development trainings and trying to integrate more with our plateau artists across this whole region. So when it came to this like cultural opening that we wanted to do, and them being a native CDFI, I went to them and we had a meeting and said like, hey, do you guys want to be a part of this, what we're trying to lift up? And if you want to be a part of it, maybe a perfect way to align is to support the traditional opening that we're going to have and make sure that we have all the pieces that we need and honor the people that we need to make that possible, so they can go home with something, whether it's a gift or a gift card or money for groceries or whatever their need is, or whatever we can help them with. Because when you're dealing with indigenous communities, it's not always money that's going to be what that value is to that person. Sometimes it's a $250 gift card to Whole Foods or something so they can have good food for their kids. Maybe it's, a blanket or some sort of gift that's of a traditional significance that they value more than money. So being creative in those things and having some funds from NNDF to be able to navigate our indigenous communities a little bit more freely was really important to us. It was powerful. And then we've got our individual businesses, our partners as well. TS and I own New Age Warriors, and we do a lot of youth-based services and professional development services for emerging artists all over the city, all over the region. We've done tours on multiple different reservations trying to address, anti-suicide and substance abuse with our youth, and anti-bullying and vaping and all of these issues that we're seeing in our schools. We try to come in with hip-hop. We try to come in with these stories of how we've gotten ourselves in some deep traumas, whether it's losing a limb or going to prison or whatever these things that we found ourselves in, trying to express that vulnerability and teach our youth that they too, even if they're in this vulnerable state, are great already, not can be great, are already great. We're just trying to remind them of their greatness. Mama Wolf Media over here. What do you got going on?
Pretty fresh on the scene.
Pretty fresh on the scene. It was a couple months in, right?
Yeah. I've been consulting since I graduated in 2018 with multiple nonprofits and artists and community orgs around here, but officially put that LLC stamp in April this year, which really just opens up more consulting abilities to help different. Basically, my main mission within is to help underrepresented communities build those materials that they need to get their voice out there and to submit to different events and, like film events, art events, anything of that sort. Having like bios, headshots, resumes, branding kits, anything of that nature is needed. And a lot of people around here, I can't say just around here, but a lot of people in general don't don't have those or don't know exactly how to write them, right? Like writing your own bio is so weird. I don't like
It
talking
is. It's
about
not
myself
fun.
like that.
It's not fun.
Like hearing you read it was
I was like, write me a bio. I should have been on
so
there.
strange.
Yeah.
I should have been a producer. I want that bio, man.
That producer
Those are
bio.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, any way to uplift.
I was like, I'm sitting next to these people. Hold up.
Yeah, that's been my journey. Is besides just learning more about myself and my heritage and finding ways to connect with my Black Native Italian community here has been really uplifting for me in general, and feeling those connections more and more as days go on has been really special.
Right. Yeah. Then we got TS, our other producer, partner, friend. Not only does he own New Age Warriors with me, but he owns Panoramic Dreams Recording Studios, all himself. And a lot of us, me, Darby, Noah, the whole squad of us, have studios within that space of his. His wife has La Pica Chica there too. But yeah, TS he's at the forefront of arts in Spokane. It's like any type of event, he's there performing. Now he's sitting on some boards in some of the more influential organizations and whatnot. And I feel like our arts and culture concerned, like TS needs to be at the table, right? He's really one of our high-end representatives for hip-hop in the culture in the region. So we wanted to definitely align with him right from the beginning, and then bringing in jazz with Birds in the Coast. We've seen what he's been doing around the city, and he's from everything from event production with Brennan and Spokane Unlimited to the stuff that you guys dropped. That whole kinship collection was fire. Like the stuff that, like the people in our circles are inspiring us and they're visionaries. So we want to add that to the list of people that we want to create with. And I feel like what we said that we want to be a part of this festival that isn't quite here yet, because it's just our first year. We're trying to grow the vision, right? But it's like we want to see like a mural project. We want to see this whole visual art side of it all, to where there's gallery and exhibition spaces. So like Olivia being such a proponent in our visual arts can be such a huge asset for that vision. Jazz helping us build like a fashion show and a fashion element into this festival will be such a huge value. TS and all of his experience in stage production and everything will be such a huge value in our live performance days. And then me, I kind of like, I delve everywhere, like whether it's event production, filmmaking, artistry, performing. Like my greatest value though is being that collaborator, being that network. I can align funders, I can align collaborators and artists and all sorts of different, just connecting different kind of dots. I got a certain set of skills, right? That are just they just align well with what we're trying to build right now, because all of us are really trying to build our visions in the name of our cultures, in the name of those little ones that follow behind us. We see the ones that are watching us create, and we feel like, dang, man, we owe something to you, because none of us really got that mentorship leg up, hand up early on. We had to take those lumps, and we want to create a little bit more access early on, so maybe those lumps aren't so big. It's like we're the same type of pay it forward mentality my mentor Ben Alex in Film Digits is doing with me. He's like, bro, I knocked my head against the wall in Hollywood for 30 years, and it was sustainable in some very small moments, but really it wasn't, and by me giving you that leg up early and letting you like rise up in the scene right off the bat, I feel like I'm giving part to our community that somebody doesn't have to go through some of those same struggles I did. Yeah. And that's the same thing that TS and I were talking about with New Age when we were first starting. Like, dang, I wish I had like someone come to my school and tell me what was real about some stuff, instead of, maybe Smokey the Bear, the snake guy, or the animal dude, or, dare the dare people that come with the accident stuff. Like there were some cool assemblies, but we're trying to switch that assembly on its head, come in with some hip-hop concerts, but it's all mixed with leadership and mental health values and positive mental health and coping skills and all of these things we're introducing positive mental health behavioral systems in their life, systems of living into their life. And then, so like, that's what we wanted to kind of form the dream team, so to speak, in all of our different forms. Like, that was our thought, was like, oh man, we're like the Avengers, really, you know? And then we had KYRS come in. Like, how are they getting involved in the sponsorship?
Yeah, KYRS. So we received early on a random email from Michael, their program manager, and he was just really interested after hearing us on Spokane Public Radio and seeing us win that grant for Spokane Arts. He really wanted to be involved any way he could.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got one more too. Amprakash. Yes. Our fiscal sponsors. That was a really sweet partnership as well. So for anybody, we're still gathering donations to fill out the immersive experience. So if you are a business, you're an organization, you're an individual that needs a tax write-off, we got a fiscal sponsor that can offer those services. We got a 501c3 backed fiscal sponsor for everything that we're doing. Not just this festival. They are a fiscal sponsor for our new collective called the Root Experience Collective, which is our 4 producing group that is going to try to create different visions for the city, different missions for our region, different movements that uplift BIPOC cultures. And if you go to www.therootexperience.org, you can get checked in with us and figure out how to donate. But please do donate. We're coming into the finish line, and we're trying to just gather the last of those funds to make this something really special.
Well said, well said.
I think that's all our partners.
All right.
So far. We got Dear Keonta Duncan, Auntie, Mama.
Snap.
Okay, you speak up, Keonta. You got a pretty good relationship with Keonta.
Yeah, I've known Keonta for, coming around almost 5 years now. She is amazing. She used to be the president of the NAACP here in Spokane. Her just passion, compassion, and just overall, the way she speaks to people in this community is on a personal level, and I have never seen anything quite like it, to be honest. She is so motherly and accepting and gentle when it comes to any situation. She doesn't just jump on, this person's attacking, my friend over here. Like, so what happened to you? What happened in your past to make this happen? And why are you hurting my friend? She loves learning people's story and finding ways to help people in any way possible. And just overall a great mentor.
For real, we went over there, me, you, and TS. We go over there one night, right? And she's like, just come over, let's talk about this sponsorship packet. Let's see what I can do. Let's see what's shaking out. And me and TS are talking about, some things that are happening within the city, and we're like, these one cats, they're holding our money, you know what I'm saying? It's like we're trying to get things going, but they're just still like kind of, they're just shaking their feet a little bit. I don't know what's going on. And she's like, this person and that, they're the ED of this, boom, boom, boom. Hey, could you you're gonna have to give me a call back. I know this is your message, but I've got some people in my office right now, or in my home right now, that could really use the money that you're holding out on. So I need you to call me back ASAP, and then and then called us back the next day and was like, hey, they said this, and that, and this is when it's going to come, all right? We're like, whoa, we've been trying to email and call these people for weeks, and we can't hear nothing, man.
Right.
So it was like, happen. It was, for us, that was like, well, for me, TS and Olivia have deep relationships with her, and that was my first time meeting her, and we've talked a little bit on a couple Facebook posts, but I'm still really getting to know her. But it's that, like, allyship is like, I'll do something about it, I'll help and whatnot. But that like that person who's gonna like jump in the fire with you and just bam, get on the phone with you in the room is like another step that you don't see too often in partnerships, or like that's true mentorship you're seeing, right? Like we'll handle it right now. And then the follow up. Yeah. It's like, oh wow, this is someone that cares as us as human beings and like our visions, not just her vision. So it was huge, like man. Big ups to Auntie. That's Auntie Keonta now.
She's one of the most acceptive people I know. like
Yeah.
offers her home up to anybody, and just that mutual respect. You don't see it very often.
That's right.
She sounds like a really. I've heard of her before, but yeah, she sounds amazing. Maybe it'd be
get her
a
on
good
sometime.
person to have on.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh man. Oh yeah. She's got a lot of poignant things to say really well, and wisdom, knowledge, depth of spirit. That's yeah.
Do you guys have anything else you want to share?
Anything else we want to share? Oh yeah. Just want to lift up, the Spokane Library, as well as Saranac Commons and the Magic Lantern Theater that are going to be like holding the space and hosting this festival. We've been working with them. Just got Saranac on the line this last couple weeks, and that was a really big one for us, right? Like, really wanted to expand the performers so it could be a 2-day type celebration, because how we had originally like thought of it as was first day would be a lot more performance, second day would be a lot more film. And then when we wrote the extra performers into it, we still didn't know if we could get that spot, so nailing that in was really big, so that Saranac and Magic Lantern are connected by that courtyard. So now we can have this one place that houses everything all day.
Yeah.
So make it a little bit easier on people. Do Spokane Library the first day. Everything starts at 5, August 26th. Second day, August 27th at Saranac in the Magic Lantern Theater. And that starts at 11 with the music. And the films will start later that afternoon. So like, come have some good time, enjoy some laughter, enjoy some rich storytelling coming from lenses that are rooted in culture, lenses that are rooting in living cultures, right? Designs, stories, languages that are alive today, that are still being shared and like transferred in living ways, right? It's not a dying cultures that we come from.
Right.
I want to put that forward, just because of media, mass media misportraying the richness of our cultures. This is our time to reverse the harm that Hollywood has done on indigenous cultures from around these continents and bring it back to community. Because when we're telling story in community, we're accountable to each other. And Hollywood is doing it individually and privatizing. They're taking that community voice out, where they don't get checked for the bad stuff that comes, or misrepresentations of real stories, right? So we want to we're doing our efforts to heal from these things that are oppressing us in the industries that we come from, in multiple different industries and disciplines, but also just like what we want to see for each other.
I think too, like something that I just thought of that's, really important in areas that you travel to that are still intact with their culture. That culture is ancient. It's been there, right? We took that culture that was here and we try to erase it. And what you guys are trying to do is like, no, we need to still celebrate this culture that existed here prior to colonization, and, give people the chance to actually experience that culture, which we really don't have a culture in Spokane right now. Like really, there's not a lot of culture here. So bringing back what you guys are doing and offering some of this ancient culture that's from this land is really important. And I want to experience it. I'm going to be there, no doubt. So yeah. So thank you to you
the perfect
both.
way to do that?
How was that?
The root experience.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at the
I just
root.
had to do a dad joke.
I plan on attending.
But thank you for having us again, Bobby.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Giving us some visibility, some voice, to what we're trying to do. It's important for us, it's one thing that's the hardest thing that we're trying to break through is visibility, right? So every little bit really helps.
Sweet. Do you both feel that you've accomplished what you came here to do today then? As far as getting what you wanted out and said?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I just
I
want to
kind of
make sure
talked a
before
lot.
we
You
close.
guys, I know you got.
Before
I'm
we
just-
close it up.
Because for real, she's quiet, but man, when she speaks,
When she speaks, it's the truth, right?
Yeah, it's that wisdom. So I want to make sure you get that wisdom out, sis.
Oh, I'm good. I know I'm naturally like an introvert, so I'll say I feel like I'm in like my dad in that way. He says what he wants to say in that moment, and that's like where I cut it off.
That's what I aspire to be like. I try every day, and I fail every day miserably.
I stopped trying in middle school, maybe in elementary school.
Like,
I was like,
one
what?
day I won't speak a lot, and when I say something, it'll be just boom, like right to. I think I'll get there. It's just taking me a while.
I think I just like the sound of my own voice. I don't know.
You got that newscaster voice.
You do got a good voice.
I don't know what it is.
Blessed, man. That's what it is.
We all got different blessings,
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
All right, then. Well, once again, this is the Root Experience. And the dates are Saturday, August 26, 2023. That's going to be at the Spokane Central Library downtown at 906 West Main Ave.
Boom, boom.
If you don't know where that is, I guess you're not from around here. So there's the address. The time is from 5 to 10 p.m. And ticket cost is free.
Free. And come. Let us just show you what this is all about first, y'all.
And the second day is going to be on Sunday, August 27th, 2023. That's at the Magic Lantern Theater in the Saranac Commons. That's at 25 West Main Ave.
Boom.
Time is 11 a.m. through 9:30 p.m. Ticket cost, free.
What? Free 99.
So that's it.
That's right. It's a wrap.
Oh,
you're the guy. You get to say. I don't get to say that.
Yeah, hold up, man.
Hold up. Who's this guy? It's newbie.
That's City Chapters Podcast. This chapter is the Root Experience.
What chapter is this? Like number chapter?
We don't have a number on it.
Oh, we don't got a number on it yet.
No.
What number are you up to so far that you've done?
I've done 23 released, 23. And I stopped labeling them.
Jordan.
Because
we missed LeBron.
Yeah.
We
23 just came out. So I don't have the chapter number no more. I no longer say it because it depends on my rollout.
Right.
So, once again, this chapter was the Root Experience, City Chapters Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby J. Till next time.